Welcome to the final edition of Eyes and Teeth, the Water Rats, the show business charity that not only brings performers together but raises coins for worthy causes. My final guest on this season is Dave Meyers. He's on my list of favourite TV chefs. I love to watch Keith Floyd specials, Ainsley Harriot. They make me laugh, as does Gordon Ramsey sometimes, with his more adult humour. But in the kitchen, there's something about Dave's wit and puns that keeps me smiling while salivating over his recipes with his longtime friend Simon King. The Hairy Bikers are a national treasure and are a joy to watch on a cruise, on a flight home, or when the TV specials are constantly showing. They bring that comedy duo aspect to a cooking series. They make you feel homely and happy. And in just a matter of a few years, I was delighted to see they were both proposed into the Water Rats HQ at King's Cross. So on a few occasions, I've been sat in a room with Dave and heard his stories and anecdotes, and I've loved being in his company. Having read his autobiography with him and Simon, I learned of his TV experience and relationship with show business and enjoyed the story of how the Hairy Bikers became one of the biggest things in a British kitchen. Dave talks today about those days in makeup, taking Orville the Duck to the pub, Strictly Come Dancing, providing the makeup for an elephant for the Paul Daniels Magic Show and washing Les Dawson's hair, joining the Water Rats and walking through Charlie Chaplin's garden with me and scribe rat Mike Martin in VV Switzerland in 2016. Yes, it sounds random, but all this happened. I can't believe he had the time to fit this chat in, but after we finished, he was off on a holiday and then a 6-week film shoot for another series of the Hairy Bikers. I'm so happy to say welcome to Eyes and Teeth, Season 8 for the final time, when I chat to TV personality Dave Meyers.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Honoured indeed, I doubt it, but thank you.
Oh, no, I am completely. You and Simon King have created my favourite shows over the past 12 months at Route 66, and I've been catching up on the Mediterranean and Asia. It's incredible. It's more than a TV cooking show. You bring both, you bring the bikes. We literally get to see you travel. You've got the beards, which is a talking point. There's both of you getting to know people around the world and learn about their true cultures. And for me, one of the best things that you both add is humour. And I love the humour that you bring. There's no one better to bring that package. And you and Simon do that. It's such a great TV experience. And that's what it is. It's not just a show. It's an experience.
Well, I hope so. I think we always said they were difficult to put into a box, and sometimes the BBC, they'll try and put us into a band, and it's hard. And sometimes we have a commissioner who they don't like the comedic element of what we do,
right? And
they will cut it out. It's a very strange thing, and we know that's one of our strengths, so we know that's what people enjoy. Because there's two of us, we can be kind of rude and disrespectful to each other. But always when we've got guests, it's always the utmost respect. We have fun. We are mates. We go back over 30 years. Yes. And that you can't manufacture.
No, it's natural, isn't it? And I can see that between yourselves, how natural that is. And I was on Eggheads, the TV quiz show Eggheads on BBC. And I was on, and I will get onto your part in this, but I was on Strictly Come Dancing as a ventriloquist, just doing the terms and conditions. But so and I kind of feel like I was, breaking the rules doing comedy on BBC, and I kind of guess it's a little bit frowned upon, like a ventriloquist, getting in the way of Eggheads because it's such a serious game show, and Strictly Come Dancing is a serious dancing show, and I kind of felt like I was in the way.
Hey, Steve, Strictly wasn't that serious when I was on it. I think I took Dad dancing to a whole new level. What was it Ernie Wise said, though? All the steps were there, but not necessarily in the right order.
I love that. That's brilliant. No, it's wonderful. It is great what you bring, but I'm not sporty at all, Dave, but I do watch tennis if John McEnroe was playing. If football was on, I'd only watch if Gaza was playing. If snooker was on, it will be Alex Higgins, and I'd watch cooking programs if Keith Floyd was cooking. So I really do go for those personalities, and I think it's the humour that you bring. When you and Simon came along, when the Hairy Bikers first started, I was like, what's this? These guys are completely different, and the humour is what warms you to the nation, I believe. So I do believe that, the BBC are right to keep the humour in, because you can't take that away from you.
No, I think that's right. And sometimes as well it's different now because we have a director and a production team that we work with almost exclusively that have become mates over the years.
Wow.
But sometimes we would get a director appointed to us at the BBC who was kind of incapable of editing and comedic timing, it was just impossible. But whereas the very first producer and director that we filmed with, John Stroud, who sadly passed away, I mean, John was directing Spit and Image when he was like 24,
really?
the first time round.
Wow.
I mean, John's got the Golden Rose of Montreux for comedy. So comedically, we were in really safe hands. This was for the first 3 series.
Okay.
But then, if you get a staff director at the BBC, you can be somebody who just wants to do a demonstration on how to make scones. And we always wanted to do that. They kind of stopped us dressing up as well, which is a side of it I always quite enjoyed.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it?
Flamboyancy.
Yes. You like your flamboyancy, I believe. We'll get onto that. You don't just have a moustache, you have an exquisite moustache, don't you, Dave? You really do curl it at the edges, and it's one of those... Not everyone can carry that off.
Yeah, but that came about... See, I've never turned a challenge down. And I did pantomime donkeys years ago at the Hexagon in Reading. I think it was 2014.
Wow.
And I had one of those lovely roles. I was Baron Hardup. So basically you come on and do a bit and go off, and it's not terribly challenging, which suited me down to the ground. And you could go and get drunk with the Ugly Sisters, and I was as happy as anything. But I grew my moustache out then, curly ends, for Baron Hardup. And actually, my wife said you should keep that. She rather liked it. So anyway, I kept the moustache since Baron Hardup.
Oh, nice.
I since did a reprise in pantomime where I was Captain Hook, and that wasn't quite so easy. I had a lot more to say and do. I might have overstretched myself. So, but the moustache was magnificent. Only my performance was possibly mediocre.
It's all in the tash. I guess you could put your script behind it, couldn't you, and then read it.
It's Dick's job, but you could put a book behind this.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm actually going into Peter Pan this Christmas, and I know Hook is the main character, so you did have a lot more script to learn, I guess.
Yeah, well, what I did was, because I knew I'm not like you guys. The same with the rats, some of the water rats, some of the wits that are there are phenomenal. But what I did was I managed to get the script, say, in August, and I did a lot of work. So basically, when it comes to the rehearsals, I kind of knew my lines, which I think is always step one. It was always a very handy thing to do.
Great.
So no,
yes.
it was good, and I did love it. I do love panto, and it's so British traditions. A lot of great talents in panto as well.
It is.
A lot of very, very talented people. It's not easy.
No, it's incredible because everybody comes together, don't they? You get actors, comedians, puppeteers, and singers. I worked with a page free girl and a gladiator when I started pantos. So
you lucky thing.
that was a great season. It's good memories.
Yeah, I think people often say to us, they say, "Oh, you and Si, you'd be great ugly sisters," and actually, we wouldn't. It's not that easy. I've got friends who are professional uglies, as it were, and they are so clever. And it's not something Si and I could do, You might put the name on the posters, but, you don't end up with egg on your face, or indeed a custard pie, really.
It's up your street. But I think it's because there's a lot of cooking scenes in panto, and I think they're seeing you in the cooking scene, you and Simon. But beyond that, I guess you're saying that it just wouldn't work, really. You're natural at the comedy, aren't you? You both banter with each other so well. You bounce off each other. You can't script that.
Many people have said over the years we talk bollocks. I don't know if I can say that on your broadcast, but
you can, and you have.
It's true. When we started the Bikers, we sat in a pub, and it was a case of, let's do what we're good at. What are we good at? Well, riding motorbikes, cooking, eating, and talking. Twaddle. And that's what we pitched really to the BBC in a dressed up way. Yeah. And we never run out of anything to say. As friends, we always waffle on. If when the cameras stop, we'll go to the pub together, and the banter. I don't know. It's very easy. It's we're very, very lucky to have found each other. Really, probably a huge irritation to my wife, but we consider ourselves lucky.
Ice and Teeth.
So you did find each other, and were you both doing makeup at the time? I read your biography, your joint biography. It's a wonderful story, but
thank you.
It's quite sad actually, quite poignant, is it? Because you both had health issues, but you've pulled through that, which is incredible, and it's so nice to see you still recording and doing the series and everything. But how did you guys first meet?
Well, it was on the Catherine Cookson dramas in 1992. I don't know if you remember them.
Yes.
There were huge, big period dramas shot in the northeast around Newcastle, the Catherine Cooksons. And Si he's never done makeup. He was a second assistant director.
Okay.
And then he was made up to location manager. And I got the job. It was a program called The Gambling Man with Robson Green. I was in charge of makeup, hair and prosthetics. And I got the job, and then I got taken to lunch to meet the rest of the crew. And Si then was only in his mid-20s, was there at the pool table with a pint in his hand. And, the rest of the crew were there with a kind of granary sandwich and the white wine spritzers. And I said, well, I'll have what he's having then. And we got chatting, and over the course of that series, he sold me a really bad motorbike. It was a real heap. It was a real wrecker. He really ripped me off. And actually, trying to get my money back, we became bosom buddies, really. And, we started cooking together, much as two mates did. And suppose for our friends, we kind of did a turn, around the hobs, as it were.
Yeah.
But when we started the Bikers, we never set out to do a cookery programme.
Okay.
Food was always going to be the currency that drove the programme, but we never saw ourselves as chefs. But now we're working on our 25th book, so I think we've changed our attitude a bit, really.
Slightly. Wow, that's incredible. And around that time, do you remember working with certain people and comedians? I mean, I guess you've done so many TV shows when you were working on the makeup. Yeah, what memories do you have of behind the scenes?
Oh, well, I was the first male makeup artist employed at the BBC Television Centre, and I started work there in 1980. And to some extent, it was the golden age. There was only 200 in the makeup department. I mean, I worked on Keith Harrison, Orville the Duck,
yes.
Tommy Cooper, Paul Daniels. I did his magic show. One of my jobs on Paul Daniels' magic show, which was the Golden Rose of Montreux, he magic, is that a word? An elephant.
It is.
Into the room.
Oh,
but the
incredible.
elephant had to be painted up as if it was for an Indian wedding.
Wow.
So one of my jobs was painting this elephant. So they put me and this baby elephant in the scene dock. He was chained up with a zookeeper. And I found myself, after 5 years at art school, I was painting an elephant's toenails gold. I was trying to paint his eyes and everything. All the paint was fine. But keeping him still, I had like a bucket full of carrots, and I put a carrot in my hand, and he'd suck my hand up into his mouth and keep sucking the carrot. It's the only way of keeping the elephant still. But I was so covered in like elephant mucus and whatnot. And it was funny. I went up to the makeup room to do the checks on the people I was supposed to be making up, as well as the elephant. And of course, he took one look at me and said, "We're fine. Please, can somebody else come near us?" Because I was such a mess. But that was good. I remember I signed the elephant's ear, and when I saw the programme go out, there on the elephant's ear was DM, and I thought, I'm going to get in such trouble for this. but nobody else seemed to notice. And
DM.
I worked on Marty Kane. Les Dawson I worked on.
Oh, wow.
He was an amazing man. He was such a nice, kind man. Behind the scenes, he was the first person to look after everybody. And on Blankety Blank as well, he always used to like to have a drink at supper time.
Yes.
But the producers liked to keep him out of the BBC Club. The BBC Club in those days was just amazing with the on-off licence. Used to get Jubilee, BBC branded champagne and claret. So they said, "Can you take Les downstairs and wash his hair?" And I go, "Yeah, all right." They said, "Can you make the hair wash last?" And I thought, this is, thinking back now, like with the Grand Order of Water Rats,
Yes.
And Les Dawson and people, I was his hair washer.
Wow.
I was washing his hair. By about the third time then, I could see Les was getting restless to get to the bar. And he started whistling the Dam Busters March. Because I was soaking him that much. But they were golden days, really.
It's so great to know that you've got this history of Les Dawson, and then you become a water rat, and you imagine Les sitting in the Water Rats Lodge like we do these days, Dave. And it's
Yes.
but you've had that moment with Les, and I always thought, what would it have been like to be in Les Dawson's company, to be talking and bantering. But you've had that, and that's so nice. And then you joined us a few years later.
Yeah, in makeup as well. It's kind of intimate and it's fun. And I said it was strange because there was very few fellas at that time. In Hollywood, it's all men doing makeup. So I thought when I joined the BBC,
Yes.
it would be like that. But I mean, magical things from childhood. Like Arthur Askey was on a programme once, going back to the 80s. He was quite elderly, but I was talking to him, and I always remember when I was a kid, the Busy Bee song.
Oh, yes.
And he sang it to me.
Oh.
And at the time, it was just a really nice thing. But now, looking back, so I'm 63, I can see him now. I was there. I was so lucky, Steve, to have things like that happen.
Yeah, you appreciate the memory.
And these people are legends.
It's true, isn't it? It's just a great era. Like you say, the golden era of television was the 80s, I guess. And that whole decade was incredible. And you got to work with, you did just mention, but you're usually renowned for roasting duck in l'orange sauce. But you did have a run-in with a very famous duck, and you mentioned Orville. Can you tell us that story?
Again, Keith Harris was great to work with. It was Keith Harris and Orville the Duck's Christmas special, and it was over at the Bush Theatre. And they did a thing where Orville had come down the chimney at Christmas. He was like a Santa, and he was covered in fake soot. So anyway, I went back to the makeup room that night, and Orville was sitting on the makeup place covered in soot with a note, "Please clean." And I thought, oh, this is great, Anyway, so I kidnapped Orville and took him to the pub, and which I realised now was it's like, it is messing with a national treasure. But at the time, I thought it was great fun. Anyway, Keith Harris was none the wiser, and Orville was returned to him in pristine condition the next morning. I did that with Humpty as well, off play school.
Did you? I loved Humpty.
Yes, well, I took him to the pub as well.
You need to make this a hat trick. Did you take Basil Brush or Roland Rat as well?
No, never passed Basil or Roland Rat.
Oh.
Indeed, the first press I ever had, I was 5 years at art school, and I joined the BBC as a trainee makeup artist. And I was an Ariel, the BBC publication, because I was the first bloke in London. They printed a picture of me putting curlers into Hamble, the doll's hair. And I can remember thinking at the time, it's all going horribly, badly wrong, really. I was at that stage where I was trying to find a girlfriend and everything, and there I am, I'm Hamble, the doll's hairdresser. And it's never going to work out right.
Trying to be as cool as possible.
No.
Oh, that's amazing. Did you strike up friendships with cast members, on those TV shows that you later worked with when you was on camera?
Kind of, yeah. It's funny. There was always a separation between cast and crew. It's strange. I spent quite a lot of time working with Nick Berry. I did a series of Harbour Lights, and then a couple of series of In Deep, and I got on really, really well with Nick. And then I designed the last shows I did as a makeup artist was a couple of series of Spooks. People like Rupert Penry-Jones, I got on very well with. He kept in touch with. Charles Dance I made up quite a bit, and again he's an amazing man, and I kind of kept in touch with Charles off and on.
Yes, wow.
But it's funny as crew, you kind of you don't want to appear to be imposing yourself on people. It's a funny relationship, really. But then again, there's some great people.
Yeah, I've seen both sides, And did you kind of work with anybody and they think, I know you from somewhere, and you know that you've done their makeup, but have you approached them and said, I used to do your makeup, or did they not know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's happened quite a bit, really. I'm just trying to think of examples. I tell you what's so funny. I was still doing Spooks when the very first Hairy Bikers programme went out.
Okay.
It was a 1 hour special in Portugal, because I hadn't had the courage to give up my day job. And I was walking down Kensington High Street with Anna Chancellor, the actress that played Duckface in Four Weddings and a Funeral.
Oh, yes. And
I was taking Anna Chancellor to the hairdressers. And people were stopping me and asking me about the programme and asking me to sign stuff. And Anna Chancellor was just really confused because she hadn't seen the programme go out. And I had to explain. Unfortunately, after that programme went out, it did really well. Within a month, I could chuck my day job.
Amazing.
But they were good. But I'm just trying to think of who I used to make up. Patrick Stewart I bumped into. I did him in a film called Dad Savage. Okay. And actually, we were both guests on this morning. And ironically, he didn't remember me, which was quite painful, really.
Oh, no, really?
Stephanie Beecham, it's quite funny. Like he used to do my hair. And I still kind of, I still cut hair now and again if forced.
I think we were forced in the last 12 months, weren't we, Dave? So my wife's done mine 3 times.
Yeah. I cut my wife's hair, but she's so picky. It's really not worth the mental anguish on my part, really. But she cuts my hair. But there's not much to cut now. Just lop a bit off the sides and the back, and that's me done.
Ooh, confidentiality.
You and Simon made that transition from crew to cast, and you was instant hit with the audience. Do you think the title, The Hairy Bikers, was a big part of that? It grabbed attention, didn't it? Because it was a different title.
Kind of. It was funny. At the time, we thought it was a stupid title because we still had our day jobs and we weren't particularly hairy. You know, we had the bikes and we were who we were. We were never pretentious. And now the title came up, people have laid claim to it. But the truth is, we started planning the bikers in 2000, so it's 21 years ago now. And emails had just started, and it was somebody in the office who we don't know, just put hairy bikers. And we thought, well, we'll have that.
Okay.
Subsequently, we've trademarked it and everything, so we weren't daft. It was quite a long journey to get on the screen.
Yes.
I mean, the reviews to the first series were very mixed. I mean, Nancy Banks-Smith in The Guardian was brilliant. She said it's not so much a breath of fresh air as blown the bloody doors off, which we thought which was an amazing review from her.
Yeah.
But somebody in the Daily Express said that it was the biggest television car crash since El Dorado.
Really?
You remember the fated soap opera
do.
in Spain?
Yeah.
And so, of course, we believed the Daily Express, and you know what you're like. You don't tend to take in the good reviews. It's the bad ones that sting. And
yeah.
But anyway, the first programme went out on January the 6th, 2004. And Portugal was the first programme. I don't know, it never gets seen now, but it was quite good. We inherited 1 million viewers off the darts, and by the end of it, it made 2.7 million viewers. But we went to Portugal, so nobody had been there before, and we used to do all the recce's ourselves, and we found there was a museum of the lobotomy near Lisbon that a man called Igas Moniz, he got the Nobel Peace Prize for perfecting lobotomies in the 30s, and his home is his shrine to primitive neurosurgery. Indeed, there's an office chair with bullet holes in it where one of his patients recovered and shot him. So we thought, we'll go there. And then we found these web-footed poodles in the Algarve that the Romans used to breed to help fishermen shepherd fish into the nets.
Incredible.
So we thought, we'll go and see that. So we basically built the programme on the Museum of the Lobotomy, the web-footed poodles, and eating and cooking our way in between the two.
Yes.
You know, and I mean, we rode the motorbikes because we didn't think there was another way. We borrowed the motorbikes from a dealer in Newcastle because we didn't have any money. But we rode the motorbikes from Newcastle all the way to Faro in Portugal. The crew flew back on EasyJet. We had to ride the bikes back.
Are you kidding?
We both ended up with bronchitis, and
no.
we didn't have proper gear. We so busted to get that first programme.
Yeah, and did you think the bikes were going to be a mainstay of the show after that, or?
I don't know, really. I think one of the things we wanted to do was, because we're both bikers, we thought it was going to be a great way to blag free bikes.
Yes.
But as it is, we have to rent the bikes for the programme, you know, like press bikes. No, not really. In a funny sort of way, the bikes, we've never faked anything, which I think is a secret, and bikes were part of that. We were both heavily involved in bikes, not necessarily like the motorbike scene as such. And to be fair, when you're filming, they're not, time-wise, they're not very economical, because we can't really communicate on the bikes.
No.
They try and do bits really through an intercom, but it's always like a Dalek voice, and I don't. It's not natural at all. But also, you know, the 10-second shot of us going through a winding canyon somewhere glorious can take like 3 or 4 hours to set up. So it's, you know, whereas a cookery will take 3 or 4 hours. So time-wise, it's you know, it's great for myself and Si, where, you know, we've been like in canyons in Mexico or in Africa, and they've said, can you just wait here for an hour while we get set up? And of course, yeah, of course we can. You know, that's the moment Si and I look at each other, and we're sitting there in the sun, you know, in the most glorious place on the planet, thinking, thank you very much, God. I don't know what we've done, but thank you.
It does look like you're having great fun, you know, even when you are cooking, you know, when you have to get down to work. But it's the places that you've been and you take us. It's just, you do take us on a journey with you. We just love it. It's just so nice that because you do get deep into the heart of the people wherever you are, don't you? You get to know people.
Yeah, we do. We do care about people as well. We're conscious of the fact we're their guests,
yes,
and we treat them with the utmost respect. And I mean, one of the early stories about the idea was I was on a train in India, and I love India, and I've never got sick in India. I've eaten street food, I'm always fine. I was on a train in India, and a gentleman came on with this ball made from pressed banana leaves, and with samosas and bhajis, and I think there were about 11p for this. The little plastic, little cling film thing of coconut chutney and the sambal, the gravy, and it was just stunning. And the man just jumped off the train when the train slowed down, and off he was, and obviously wait for the next train. And these samosas, I can close my eyes and taste them now. They were so good. I remember thinking, wouldn't it be great to go to the man's house, find out how he lives, how he makes his samosas, and get his recipe, because food transcends race, religions, and politics. Even if you're not particularly into food, there'll be something you fancy.
Yes.
Or there's something your mum's cooked that you love, or, there'll be some weird thing you buy from the supermarket combined with something else that works for you.
Yes.
And that's the kind of premise that we go away with. But, I've had so many repeats this last year. It's almost been like, we've got more repeats than a bad pie.
It's so great, though, because I didn't get to see them all. So I've got to see some of the old ones. And BBC iPlayer show quite a few of your series. So it's nice to catch up on ones that I had missed at the time. But now I'm on a huge catch-up, and I'm looking for DVDs. They do them on DVDs, don't they, now?
Yeah, there's a couple of DVDs out there, but on catch-up, they've just repeated Mums Know Best, and that's going back to 2008, 2009.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because we were both substantially fatter then than we are now. So we just get all this stick, you put the weight on again then. But also our beards were black then and not white, So it's just a passage of time.
No, continuity.
We've seen ourselves grow old on the telly, really.
Yes. I guess you do that when you're on TV. You can see the transition. It's like actors in movies, isn't it, over 20, 30 years? That's crazy. But I was thinking about the bikes again, going back to the bikes when you were filming your food. But me and my wife were hooked on the Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman shows, where the Long Way Down, I think, those shows where they would just go on the bikes and that was it. And we were hooked on the travel side of that. But you bring us food as well, which is so nice to have that at the end of it. Because it always makes us hungry. We're salivating when we're sat there watching, So I remember watching one when I was on a cruise ship. And I think we were cruising around Germany, France, around the Med. And they put on a series of the Hairy Bikers. And you were cooking chips in Belgium. And the mayonnaise, And I always say to my wife, and I said, this weekend we're having Hairy Bikers chips, which is it's not cooked once or twice, but thrice, 3 times, And I always cook them your way now because you can't go back once you start.
No, but it's funny you should mention the chips in Belgium. It was one of those days where you ever had a hangover where you actually feel pretty good, maybe still quite skittish.
Well,
and that day we'd both been drinking lots of Belgian beer.
Oh, right.
And we were filming in the fish market in Bruges. and we were next door to this fishmonger called Gunter.
Right.
And his beautiful daughter. and it was great having the banter. But it was funny because at the time I just met my wife and we went over on the motorbike. And in Bruges, I said, I just want to go and see some friends of mine, And so anyway, I just took her to meet Gunter, who was there by his stall. and Gunter was packing up. And he just gave me this big bag of langoustines. And I always remember that night thinking, it's nothing to do with the programme, but maybe 6 months later, there I was in the hotel with my intended, eating Gunter's langoustines, which were free, feeling rather fabulous, really. And things like that are experiences that you can't buy. The first series with the bikes, we literally, because we used to do all the planning ourselves. The first series, we were on the road for 42 weeks. And we just picked a 1,000-mile motorbike journey.
Okay.
But those days, we had 11 days to shoot a programme. Now it's got down to 4.5 days. With those 11 days, we rode 1,000 miles and we literally picked 6 motorbike rides we wanted to do around the world, across Namibia. Of course, we weren't doing food then, so Namibia is not somewhere you go to the Kalahari Desert to do a food programme. Then we did the Isle of Man and Ireland because we wanted to go to the TT races, and then from there we went to Transylvania, which is where I met my wife.
Oh, wow.
And then we went to Mexico, Vietnam, and Morocco. So it was a hell of a year, but literally a 1,000-mile road trip, through Mexican highlands on the bikes. We rode to the Sahara Desert. Pretty good year. Good year, Steve.
Oh, contributional.
To get to do what you love now, and with a mate of yours that's just cooking and travelling and talking, it's just nice to have that banter and to be caught on film as well.
Yeah, we're the luckiest people in the world, really. The new series we've just done, we shot it last year. It's coming on this autumn. We shot it in the UK. First time we've done a proper hairy biker series, done studio stuff for nearly a decade. And funny enough, we decided to do this series in the UK before COVID was invented. December 2019, we were with the commissioners.
Right.
And what with the political state of our nation, and the commissioners said, we were thinking of doing something in the UK again, and the BBC said, we think it'd be good to do a bit of a love letter to ourselves. And I thought, it's not a bad ethos to go on the road, really, the same way as we have abroad.
Yes.
But for us, and that's what we've done in the last series, the one that's on this autumn, it is a love letter to ourselves. And because I think we're going to be doing some more of this. We start filming again this May, so that'll be on 2022, I think. We start in Scotland on that one.
Oh, amazing! That's nice. I think with the lockdown one, Route 66 was our thing, and we were so hooked on Route 66. My kids were watching it, and there was this moment where you indulge in marijuana in an infused meal, which caused some giggles with you, didn't it?
Yeah, the marijuana gastronomy. Oh God, yes. But that was so funny because we went to visit the people. They were all Russians. The people around the table.
Okay.
I'm not casting any. They were Russian businessmen.
Yes.
So I don't know where the money came from of the business, but they were awfully hospitable. And it's marijuana gastronomy. It was the latest thing in Beverly Hills, where you get kind of like a Michelin-starred chef come to your house, and he cooks a meal that's laced with marijuana and oils, and basically you get horrendously stoned by the seventh tasting course. By the time you're onto the pudding, and the idea is you don't drink with this. However, of course, they were Russians, so out of sight of the filming, there was a bottle of vodka and shot glasses under the table. And we were under the sternest thing. It was all legal, it was all fine, and no BBC money was spent buying marijuana.
Wow.
And the director and producer said to us, whatever you do, you can't lose it. You've got to stay reasonably sensible, or we can't transmit the programme.
Oh, no.
So, because we to be hospitable, whenever the camera stopped, there was a shot of vodka going down. But I can remember one point where I was looking at one of the young ladies, and I was thinking the questions like, do you come here often? And I just looked at her, and I was gazing into her eyes, and I just couldn't stop laughing, Steve. And it took me 3 goes to get this. Do you come to many of these? Oh, God, it was such a glorious night. But that night, when they got us in the back of a Land Rover to take us back to the hotel, and that's when it really kicked in.
Oh, really? It was quite strong.
But yeah, it was funny to think that it was, primetime telly. We were going to get stoned, really. But I suppose, it was interesting. Like that.
Oh, controversial.
And so you both become household names, and you're loved by the nation, which is so nice. But it seems like you've got show business. You've got a gene within you, because you kind of soak it up, don't you, Dave? You ended up on Strictly Come Dancing, and so you can see your passion for the business, and so let's go with the dance. So what made you do Strictly? Because it's such great television.
Yeah, I loved it. I was very flattered to be asked. It was funny. Sam and I won a TV Choice Award. Oh gosh, must have been 2012, I think. For a big Haitian series. I were at the awards, and Louise Rainbow came up and just said to us both, would either of us ever be interested in doing Strictly? So of course I just went, good grief, yes. And I can't tell you what Kingy said, but it was an emphatic no. And anyway, we would just finished filming the Asia series, and so I wanted to take 3 months off. And I didn't, because my ethos is, you don't take time off when you're on a roll.
Yes.
And that's when I got offered Strictly. But no, I love it. And I think a lot of that goes back to my time at the BBC in those golden years of the 80s.
Sure.
I worked with people like Marty Kane, Les Dawson, Ken Dodd, the Ken Dodd Show, where at the end of his show he gave everybody, all the crew, a medal. And the medal said, I survived the Ken Dodd Show. It was really classy. Stanley Baxter, I worked on his show, the two Ronnies. I did the prosthetics for Stanley Baxter when he played every character in The Wizard of Oz himself in one of his Christmas specials.
Amazing.
And, like the whiff of the grease paint and everything. But, it's wonderful business.
What memories. And that's what I mean.
And I
It's
think Si and I have managed to cut our own groove,
Yes.
which thankfully works, And Si's got his music as well, you see. His passion is he's got a band. So,
Okay.
whereas I'm the first to go on Mr. and Mrs. or, any of these quiz shows.
Yeah.
Si doesn't like doing that. He's not really interested. But there again, you'll put him behind his drums with his band, and he's the first to get up there. So yeah, we both got a tingle for it as well, Steve.
Yeah, that's amazing that you've got your own things that you like doing out of the travel shows. But you've done The Weakest Link, Would I Lie to You, Never Mind the Buzzcocks, Room 10. You do love doing the game shows. Room 101, Celebrity Juice. It's brilliant.
That one, Mastermind, Steve. Don't forget that one.
Oh yes, I've left that one off. Sorry, Mastermind. So you won it.
Yes.
What year did you do that one?
Oh gosh, I always pivots around 2013 when we did the hairy dieters. Was it pre-fat or post-fat? I think I was fat then, so it must have been 2012.
Okay.
And yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it. It was the pre-Raphaelites Brotherhood was my specialist subject, and it was funny. John Humphreys was quite rude. He said to me, "So you're not a trained chef, you're overweight, middle-aged, so what do you ascribe your popularity?" And I said, "Well, my mother loved me, John." So anyway, I thought,
Wow.
I'll do my best. But yeah, I love it. We raised a lot of money for charity as well.
Yes.
Again, like Mr. and Mrs. We managed to get enough windows for an orphanage in Romania just by getting made up on a nice night in a hotel and having a good laugh. What's not to like, really?
Yeah, definitely. And you've done one of the shows that I really love to have done, or still do. I'll take the family on. All-Star Family Fortunes. It's such a great icon, that show, isn't it?
It was so funny because my stepdaughter at that time, she was about 19 and actually very beautiful, and she was so funny. You have to go, and Vernon Kay goes down the line, and you have to say, "Hi, Vernon."
Yeah, yes.
Anyway, she was 19, was going, "Hi, Vernon." And you could tell what was going on in the gallery. "Could you just do that again?" "Hi, Vernon." And she got more and more each time. Then I just say "Hi, Vernon." But it was funny. We had a family friend who was like the spare wheel in the family. You can have somebody who isn't part of the family.
Yes.
And it's a mate of mine called Steve Quirk, who was an old chef from Claridge's.
Okay.
And because my wife's Romanian and my stepchildren were born in Romania, I kind of thought I needed for the general knowledge, although my family were brilliant. We won. But
Brilliant.
But when it came to the end piece, Steve, my mate, this old chef from Claridge's, he was the one who went out front and I was in the box. And the question that Vernon asked him was, "Give me a sport that doesn't involve a ball." Now, the one that everybody picked was swimming.
Right.
Steve just had a complete mind warp. And he just said, "Tobogganing." and Vernon Kay just went, "Tobogganing?" And Steve went, he started to stutter, "Yes!" And yes. There's no way on earth I was going to get that. So, although we won, we beat the other family.
Oh, you did, even after tobogganing? Wow.
Fault on that one. So, and I did a similar one, actually, on Weakest Link. We got to the final, and we lost £24,000, which was going to be for the Teenage Cancer Trust.
Oh,
and the question was, name the fruiting body... No, which American pop star shares her surname with the fruiting body of asparagus?
Okay.
Do you know it, Steve?
I don't know. I'd have lost the money as well.
Well, I said tips. I was thinking asparagus tips. It's Britney Spears.
Of course. Wow.
Yeah, no, 24 grand. We were gutted.
No.
Even though Robinson came up and said we were a pair of numpties. She's probably right.
I would have said Madonna, but I don't know what. Oh, kebabs, I think. No, they got it all wrong. That's crazy. But when you're under that pressure, though, on a TV show, because I did do Eggheads, and I had my dummy on my knee, it's... Even though I had two heads, and I said two heads are better than one, but the Eggheads actually didn't like the fact there was two of us, because I was sat there with half a lager, but you still got that pressure, haven't you, of think of the answer within a time limit. It's not easy.
No, it's not. But it's funny, I think with myself and Si, because we set each other off on the wrong tangent. But no, it's good fun, though.
You have been on Celebrity Juice, but have you seen Keith Lemon's sketch show where he does You and Simon?
Yes.
It's very naughty, isn't it?
I was on our stage show. We used some clips of Keith Lemon and John Thompson being us.
Oh, you did?
It's so funny. And what's funny is you kind of, although we never swear as much as they do,
No.
we kind of see some aspects of ourselves that maybe you can see. But yeah, he's very funny. And the Celebrity Juice was funny. That we were rather encouraged to drink too much than we should have done, really.
Oh, right, really.
But it's a good laugh. But Keith Lemon's sketch show where he does this is funny.
It's making
We've met him
poppadoms.
since, and we have to applaud him on it.
Oh, that's so nice, because sometimes when impressionists or people do make fun of other people, you think, are they worried about bumping into them in the business, later on down the line? But when you've got a sense of humour like you have, because Keith does push the barrier, doesn't he? And so
He was hardly flattering about us, really, put it like that.
No, he wasn't.
It's worth a look on YouTube. It's nice to see how others see you.
I think it exaggerates it slightly, so you've got that at least. But it was brilliant. The nation warmed to you, though, so they know that it's just a cartoon version of it.
I thought it's funny to look at on YouTube, Steve. It's years ago we thought this was the path to immense riches. We sold the show under license to America, to History Channel, and they actually produced a series of the American hairy bikers. And it was pretty dreadful, to say the least, and it didn't get recommissioned, and we didn't make a bean out of it.
Oh.
But there was that moment when the first show arrived, and we kind of owned it still, and we thought this was the pathway to immense riches. It wasn't to be. And the first thing is, we saw this. If you want to have a laugh, just look up American hairy bikers.
Okay.
And can you imagine our first thought was, cracky, which one's meant to be me? 'Cause one was about 35 stone, the other one wasn't the cleverest person, to say the least.
Oh, no.
But
That's
they
the
went
danger.
on the first episode of an M16 assault rifle, shot a pig, eviscerated it. In one episode, they were making water rat boudin down in New Orleans. But at that time, we were selling cookbooks, and we thought, whoever's commissioned this has missed they've missed the core values of what Sinai were about.
I know, yeah. They did have the water rat element in it, though, which is a good link.
Yes. Not we would ever turn a water rat into a sausage.
Well, we do have sausages in Lodge, but there's another story.
Yes. The bait at the end of a night is often welcome.
Yes, definitely. I've checked out your website. It's incredible. The Hairy Bikers website. It doesn't just have links to your TV shows. You can buy all the books there, as well as kitchenware, steel pans. Your shop has everything. I was so impressed.
Yes, we're hoping to be the new Marks and Spencers eventually. But yeah, we've been selling stuff over a while, and like everything, it's changed. And to be fair, it's really good value. And
yes.
I use the stuff myself, so it's good. You work quite hard.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a company that we work with, and they know us now that we don't sell anything that doesn't work, or and certainly we know if people complain, we get the complaints, and we have to answer them.
Yes. Wow.
But yeah, it's a little world that works. And our stage show as well. We've done 3 tours now, and again, we wanted that to be a bit of vaudeville rather than. People aren't going to have a night out watching 2 blokes cook. You go to a food festival, yes, but not the stage show.
Yes.
So we work quite hard to make that a proper theatre show.
Okay, that's nice.
We were cancelled last year, and there's no plans to do another one as yet.
And you have gone up to Edinburgh Festival with the tour as well, so it must be really good fun being on stage. And actually, do you take questions from the audience? And
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what we do is we actually tell some stories. We have a different theme. We played the London Palladium in 2019.
Oh, incredible.
The theatre was ours on a Saturday night, that was one of those moments, Steve, where we sat there because we had the posh dressing room, just thinking, what's gone on?
Yes.
And to do a sound check on the stage of the London Palladium. And, we did pretty well that night.
That is
and my wife's
great.
outside sending pictures in of our names in lights over the Palladium. That's something that it can't be repeated.
No.
But we would tell stories, run along. One series we did escapology. Every night I got out of 35 feet of chain, 5 padlocks, and a pair of handcuffs, whilst dressed in hot pants and a wife-beater T-shirt. And then, we've done all sorts of mad things, and we did strip tombola once to end the first half. The last series was a bit more kind of story led. We always finish with a sing song as well. We had like the bouncing ball with Bon Jovi's "Living on a Prayer," Kingy thrashing the drums out. And
That's
again,
amazing.
It's good fun.
So he gets to put his drums in as well. So he gets to do a bit of what he loves within the show.
Yeah, the last show was a bit like All Round to Mrs. Brown's. So you come around to our house and we tell tales. We do take questions. How we take the questions, it comes in a box. And there's a great friend of ours who's our tour manager called Dean Burnett. And Dean was a ballet dancer, but he's a performer as well. So Dean's on stage with us as kind of like, we've dressed him up as a butler, but he's really like the MC. So we have like a box where people put the questions in. We don't censor it. So there's a section at the end. It can go on as long as we want, or we don't want to overstay our welcome.
Yeah, sure.
But it's been a proper show, you know. And plus, we've got such a massive archive that we can illustrate our points, you know. And we're not afraid of sending ourselves up. Crikey heck, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the Baltic series where we're naked in a sauna. Mind you, at my age, that was the last time I vowed never to be naked on the telly. But I think you'd have to have a sense of humour to do that, really.
Yeah, it's cold in the Baltics as well, isn't it?
My Baltics were certainly freezing, Steve, I tell you. Especially when I got out of the sauna and jumped into a lake at -10. It wasn't pretty coming out.
Wow. What incredible things you get to do there. It's just, it creates great memory, but brilliant television. It's one of the best things on, and I love it. I can't wait to catch up on everything. But the beauty is that I've not seen all of your series yet, but I've still got that to come. So I use that as a bonus.
Thank you.
So, Dave, in 2017, September, you became a water rat along with Simon, and it's so nice to have you within the order. And it's a tradition which is welcomed so many personalities, is what you both are, you know. So it's what does the water rats mean to you? Because you're a great water rat. You are national treasures.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm very, very proud to be a member, and I get a great deal of pleasure from it. You know, as much as time and work will allow. It's harder to decide because obviously to come down to the grazing road from Newcastle.
Yeah, he's further away
on a Sunday. Really, isn't that, you know, it isn't that easy for him. I think it's the sense of camaraderie. It's the Water Rats Ball. It's just the most wonderful event, and I think people who are, you know, are respect immensely. I mean, to be sitting there in the room with, you know, with Nicholas Parsons and Dougie, you know, when he's so funny.
Dougie Brown's great, isn't he?
Dougie Brown is amazing. I know some great names, some great characters.
Yes.
But what's lovely about the Water Rats, the people who you may not know immediately, but you know they're all grafting out a really good living in the business, and the Water Rats look after each other. It's a great fellowship of people, and it does an awful lot of good for charity. I mean, when the trip you organised to Switzerland, to Charlie Chaplin's house,
yes,
how many people get to do that? You know, we all took our partners. It was a wonderful occasion.
It was incredible, wasn't it?
And again, I often think of Kenny Cantor, who sadly passed away, and we you know, my wife and I, we took Kenny to the airport. But again, what a character, what a person with immense history.
He was,
and
wasn't he?
Privileged to know people like Kenny.
It was wonderful to have that opportunity, and Vivi was so incredible. It was stunning, the beautiful, the mountains, and I went to visit a ventriloquist the day after we went to Charlie Chaplin's museum, and so and he took me deep into the mountains, and this restaurant, this fish restaurant, they were famous for fish and chips. We had a nice glass of white wine, and we're next to the lake. I just wanted to move there. But you and Liliana, you went back there shortly after, didn't you? You went there recently.
I've been back twice.
Have you really?
Yeah, funny enough, the last time was, you know, there was a brief interlude, I think, with COVID last year.
Yes.
And I have a house in France, and we just got in the car and drove over and had 6 days there.
Oh, nice.
At the Hotel de Lac in Vevey, which must be the nicest hotels in the world. But again, really, really nice just to walk by the lake. And, you know, we take the little funicular railway up to we bit off all we could chew, really. We took the funicular railway up as far as it would go and decided we were going to walk back.
Oh, no.
It's easy downhill. But obviously it's not that easy. It really hurts after a while.
It does, yeah. You tried that.
But no, the Rats means a lot to me. I mean, Si and I, we used to do a show on Planet Rock. And heroes of ours, Rick Wakeman and Roy Wood, two rats. They were our proposer and seconder.
Ah, wow.
And it's like, it's Rick Wakeman and Roy Wood. One, they know us, but then to invite us, and for the other gents there to invite us into this, exclusive world. It's rather fabulous.
That sounds like a super group with you, Simon, Roy, and Rick. It sounds like a super group. If you.
I don't have anything to offer to that one, really. I'm the most musically inept person.
You've been in pantomime. There's got to be something there.
Yeah. Funnily enough, there was our music rat. I don't know how much we can reveal about the rats. Steve.
Everington, yes.
The first pantomime I did, he was our musical director.
Ah, was he? He's an incredible musical director as well.
He is, but when it came to doing a pre-recording for the chorus songs, I suddenly realised that I was being told to just step back another metre or so. And I suddenly realised that I was practically out the door. And I did, this is before I knew that I'd become friends with him. I tapped him and said, Steve, I said, there's no need to be sensitive with me. I said, I'm a really bad and might as well just go home. And he went, yeah.
Oh, no.
And then, of course, I saw him when we met up the Gray's Inn Road.
Yes.
And it was quite funny. I said, yeah, you kicked me out rehearsals because I was that crap. And he went, soz.
Yeah. I think I would have been standing in that doorway with you, though, because I've got no sense of tunes in, I need auto-tune just to talk. Yeah, I'm not a singist. I'm on your side with that, Dave. It's not easy to... if you're not a singer, you're not a singer, but you bring something else to the table, which is what they love.
Eyes and Teeth.
I would love to see hairy bikers in Switzerland and going up the mountains and cooking, some Swiss cheese and chocolate and all. Is that something that you could do?
Yeah, I'd love to. We both love to get back on the road again.
Yeah.
It's in the UK. We did the series Hairy Bikers Go North, was the one we shot last year. But again, I emphasise it wasn't just a reaction to COVID. We planned to do this before, because there seemed to be this dearth of everybody going to film in Cornwall and Devon or finding an excuse to do something because we couldn't go away. But it wasn't the case with us.
Yes.
But yeah, I'd love to go to Switzerland. Germany as well, the food. I mean, I was watching our own Mediterranean series that we shot in 2018, and I was sitting there having my tea, and it just came on the telly, my wife's eyebrows go, oh God, not again. But by God, it was like watching somebody else's summer holiday.
Was it?
I remember thinking, I understand why people who live near the Mediterranean, they live a long time, they're healthy, and
yes.
I don't think Si and I have ever been healthier. I always remember the front cover of the Mediterranean book. Si and I think we looked the best we've ever done in our lives, and it was shot. There was no makeup, nothing. It was shot in a housing estate in Torremolinos. But at the end of 3 months, riding motorbikes in the sun, drinking wine, eating Mediterranean food. You
can't get any better.
We're in a very good place then.
Oh, that's amazing.
Torremolinos, it was great.
What a great way to live it as well. And I was thinking, we were talking about names and how the hairy bikers come up, but I was wondering if any other names come up, like Sticky Buns on a Bonneville or Hummus on a Harley Davidson. It could have been completely different, Dave.
Well, do you know what the title was, Steve? Because we wrote the treatment to the first programme. It was going to involve motorbikes and food. So basically we thought, right, and we wanted to, you try to overcomplicate things, and we reckoned there had to be a spiritual element to this.
Right.
So we were going to do pilgrim routes, you see. So there was the journey, the food, and, the people. But they were all on pilgrimages, be it Medjugorje, or, in India, or in Croagh Patrick in Ireland, and we'd do the pilgrimage.
Wow.
And the title that we put on the treatment was Motorcycles, Food, and the Search for Nirvana. So it didn't exactly trip off the tongue, really. So that one didn't last.
Simple is key, isn't it? And it works. The hairy bikers works. I'm so glad that you are working, and you're a wonderful man, and we wish you and Liliana a wonderful holiday, which you deserve, and get back out there and do more series. That's what we're waiting to see.
Thank you, Steve. It's been an honour and a pleasure. And I hope we can have a pint soon. It'd be rather nice.
That'd be incredible. A proper pint. And let's do it next to a mountain in Switzerland. We should do that again. I am planning, actually, The Edinburgh Festival. I'd love to go there and take in some comedy shows and some. What do they eat there? Fried Mars bars? They do some strange things there.
No, go to Edinburgh. Go to Valvola and Crawler.
Okay.
The most incredible Italian delicatessen in the world, and they have a restaurant upstairs too.
I've got that written down now.
Sicilian family.
Oh, okay. Is that near Edinburgh at all?
Oh, it's in Edinburgh.
Oh, it's in Edinburgh. Oh.
Yeah, I just remember Valvola. It begins with V. Valvola and Crawler. It's been a deli that's been there for donkey's years. The family own it, but the youngest daughter, I think it's Victoria's, taking it up, and so there's a restaurant there, and the produce is unreal. But it's sort of place it doesn't have to be highfalutin. You can just go and have some nice spaghetti and a couple of glasses of red wine. But really top notch.
Oh, that's amazing. What a recommendation.
I think the next series we start in Edinburgh. So, but speak to me in about another 6 weeks. I'll have a really good address book for Edinburgh and Glasgow.
Oh, amazing. I will do. I'm planning to go there next year. Thank you so much for being on Eyes and Teeth today and sharing your stories, Dave.
You're welcome, Steve. Hopefully we'll meet up soon. Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thank you to Dave. Loved that. And I loved this season so much, including the last 102 episodes and guests. It's become such an important part of my life in a time where we all needed to reach out and talk to others. I did just that, but I recorded mine. To find out where you can see the Hairy Bikers tours, buy DVDs, browse their amazing kitchen shop and buy their cookbooks, go to their website at www.hairybikers.com. On Twitter, they are @HairyBikers. And you have to try and track down their exclusive crisps by Terrell's, which is on sale now. Today's quote comes from the late and great celebrity chef Keith Floyd. Watch a French housewife as she makes her way slowly along the loaded stalls, searching for the peak of ripeness and flavour. What you are seeing is a true artist at work, patiently assembling all the materials of her craft, just as the painter squeezes oil colours onto his palette, ready to create a masterpiece. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Larissa, Lola and Nina Hewlett. The Eyes and Teeth music and jingles are produced and performed by Water Rat, Kevin Dean. Cheers, Kevin. Thanks for listening to Eyes and Teeth Season 1 to 8. You can download all 102 episodes for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music and wherever you get your pods. Season 9 will be another fantastic cracker, a collection of comedy and show business chats when I talk to more top-class performers in Voices of Variety.